All right, so I'll be talking about my river of life. Now, at the very top, I have French immersion listed because instead of a conventional elementary school, my parents decided to send me to a French immersion school, meaning we were supposed to learn how to be fluent in French and you weren't allowed to speak in English. And at the time, it was pretty frustrating because I didn't really learn English and I was not great at speaking or writing or reading until like fourth or fifth grade. But now looking back at it, I'm very grateful that I know a second language and I've had the opportunity to go to France for an exchange trip that I'll get into later. But yeah, it's just been really cool and it's really hard to do later in life. So I'm very happy I have that base for learning. And next, I've got a little waterfall saying my parents worked a lot and traveled often. So we had a revolving door of babysitters and au pairs. And if you don't know, an au pair is like a babysitter that lives at your house or home for a year or sometimes 6 months, and they're usually from a foreign country. So for my family, we've had them for like 6 years in total, and the first half were all from France to help my sister and I with French, and then we got unlucky with a couple and they weren't great, so we transitioned to some Polish ones because my mom's from Poland, and it was kind of cool to have a young person living in your house to interact with. It was like almost like I have a little sister, but almost like a bigger sister to be around. So that was really nice, but it was also just weird and not really having my parents around and having like another person help us grow. And then next I've got another waterfall. We're fast forwarding to middle school here. Eighth grade, I decided to dye my hair blonde because I don't know, I thought it would be a cool look, and my friends absolutely grilled me that year and it was pretty rough. But then for the French immersion program, it ends at the end of middle school, and at the end you go on an exchange trip to France and a French exchange student comes to your house for a week. And in France, I was just chowing down on like they've got like kind of similar to here. Like if you imagine French Twinkies, like little crepes in a box and just cookies and so much junk food, and I felt and looked horrible. There was just one day I looked in the mirror. I had my goofy yellow hair, and I was never fat, but I was kind of like skinny fat. It just didn't really look great. Don't look like anything. And I decided like that had to change. So when I got home, I started to eat well and lift, and really ever since then, lifting has been a really important part of my life, and it's kind of been a rock and a base that keeps me kind of steady throughout everything I do. And now I'll fast forward to high school. Freshman year was pretty uneventful, but sophomore year, I had got my first girlfriend, and I was just happy like, oh, a girl likes me, awesome. Let's go forward with this. But we didn't really actually connect that well. Like we just weren't super great friends even, and I did a very bad job of managing my relationships with like my friends, most of my guy friends. So I really fell out of touch with a lot of them. We really only saw each other at school and didn't hang out, and it was really rough because I had this friend group throughout middle school that I was kind of losing, and they were worried because it felt like they were losing me, but in the moment I didn't really realize that. So it wasn't until like right before senior year, where I kind of realized what had happened, and it had been 2 years at that point. So I broke up with her, and like finally I felt like, oh my god, I can go see my friends again. And luckily they welcomed me back into the group, and that year was a ton of fun, and it really taught me a lot about maintaining relationships and how important it is to stick with the people that have always been there with you and that you really just enjoy being around. So now, in this present moment, I'd say I'm very excited to be in school. I feel very focused and motivated to do well. Uh, Even though we're at home, it kind of stinks. Or, well, some of you aren't home. But it's been fun. It's been interesting. It's not how I expected. I doubt any of us expected college to look like this. But it is what it is. And for the future, I intend to be a math major. Not exactly sure where that's going to take me, but I hope that 4 years here will help me figure that out. And then potentially at school, I played baseball throughout my entire life in high school. So maybe club baseball, but I've got to see. I've got some friends who've done it here before, and I would probably want to join a fraternity. My best buddy, his older brother is in a fraternity at UMD, and I visited with them, and we went to a basketball game against Illinois, hit a buzzer beater, and we went to a social afterwards, and it was just a ton of fun. So I think that's something I'm going to want to do, and then maybe one day, especially if this country doesn't figure some things out in November, I'm lucky enough to have a European Union passport because my mom's from Poland, so I have a dual citizenship, and maybe move to Europe one day. France, I can really go anywhere that's still in the EU as long as they don't all separate by that time. But yeah, that's pretty much my life story. Sorry, this was a long one, but if you got to the end of it, thanks for listening.